So, hey guys, this is actually really exciting. We're gonna be having our first podcast. So we're gonna be having this with Monty. Monty, say hi.
Hello.
Since we don't have this baboon here, I'm gonna just put this up on the side. Make sure we give Monty his attention. Do you see the picture I picked out for you?
Yes, it's beautiful. I don't even know when that was.
That was during one of our cottage trips. I think it's
Must
like
have been last year?
no,
2 years
no.
ago?
This is like 2 years ago, I think. This is like cottage three or
What is
something.
on the side of my face?
I think that was the one where remember you drew on your face like some pharaoh shit.
Jeez. I don't remember that at all.
I
Okay.
have no idea. What is that? Or is it just hair?
It might just be hair.
No, I think it's marker. Was that a penis?
What is that?
That might be a
No, I think
penis.
that's... No.
That
No,
might be
no
a
way.
penis.
I highly doubt it's a penis.
Look at it. That's a marker over there.
Stop zooming in so much. Jesus.
What? It looks like it's a penis. I'm not even joking.
You're gonna get demonetized immediately.
We got no one here to like what money? We're fucking broke as
Al's
hell.
gonna report us.
Yeah, listen, you didn't even get your 40K. Like, fuck, we got nothing. Okay, we're absolutely like screwed.
Still got that fortune cookie though.
Yeah, I know exactly. We gotta show that later. But yeah, okay. So this is just gonna be it's gonna be a hockey podcast. We're mainly gonna be talking about the Leafs, just like what's going on around the NHL and just some cool topics, I guess. We're hoping to have this every Sunday at 6:30. So around this time every week we'll have something. Keep it going for like an hour and a half ish. So hop by. You guys can, if you guys are doing something, you guys can come back later. We'll have like a Q&A thing at the end if there's actually people that are still left and actually still want to be on stream, where you can hop on. You can talk about like stuff that we need to improve, that we could improve on, certain segments you want to hear. You can just like shit on us, like fucking do anything you want. It doesn't even matter. Um, but yeah, I'm actually really excited about this Armaan. Like, w-
Yes, same.
we've been fans of like, well, we've talked about the Leafs since high school.
For me, before that.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of both of us, like talking to
Yeah.
each other since high school, and like, I swear we brought this up to like make a podcast like 3, 4 years. It was like before university, I think, right? Or
Yeah,
was it in
yeah,
first
for
year?
sure. I'm pretty sure it was before
That
university.
was probably when we took our bet that the Leafs would win within the next three
Oh, it
years.
was,
Otherwise, a
yeah. No,
slap bet.
that was in first year, yeah. And then they gave
Yeah.
us nothing but first round losses.
Yeah, that was bad.
Love to see it.
Yeah, but yeah. So this was a long time coming, and I'm happy that we actually took the dive to do this. Like, realistically, this is our first podcast. We've never done anything like this. It's probably gonna be hella scuffed. It's probably gonna be like pretty shitty. We don't even have a fucking name yet. Like, let's be honest. If you guys have names for that we should make for the podcast,
Hey,
like
make that a poll.
message that. Yeah, we need to get a name so we can make a YouTube channel. Because right now we got nothing. I have no idea at all. Um, but yeah, um, I guess Money, you can. Do you want to say some stuff like you
Uh,
excited?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have been. We've been talking about this. I listened to a shitload of podcasts,
Yeah,
especially on the Leafs as well. So I'm excited for this.
yeah.
Uh,
Like you were saying that you listen to how many, like 6 hours worth, or like 3 to 6 hours worth of podcasts in a day or something. Like holy shit.
yeah. I listen to ten, like 10 rotating podcasts depending on the day, and I'll just put one on. Like half of them are Leafs specific, so
So
I get
realistically,
plenty of content.
you're not really working. Let's be honest. If one of your employers like comes by and actually watches, they're gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna let this guy go real quick.
Yeah, like I literally just listen to podcasts the entire day. So
No wonder you didn't get your 40K bonus.
shut up. That was for completely different reasons.
Yeah, eh? Because you were focused on finding out what was that word that was in one of the documents? That German
What
word?
word?
There's like some.
Oh,
What was that?
that was a 5-inch thick dick.
Yeah. Thick dick.
And then I found out that the drawing was half German and dick is thick in German. Good times. Yeah.
This is where you spend your day.
It
on,
literally took me like a full hour just crying laughing at my desk.
Yeah. Holy crap, dude.
Good use of my time.
Exactly. All right. So, I guess like, yeah, we can do we want to go into like a little bit about us? I guess like just talk about like our background with with hockey, like the NHL and stuff like that.
Sure. I'm pretty sure all of our current viewers know us
They
pretty
probably
well.
do, but I mean, like we're gonna be posting this on YouTube. Who knows? Remember the fortune cookie that you got? Okay, so for people who don't know this, um, our when we discussed and like we were like, hey, or I messaged Armaan. I was like, or I think we were on call or something. I was like, Armaan, we gotta make a Leafs podcast. I need content for my Twitch. I've got nothing else going for me right now. And then as soon as he agrees to it, I think it was like 5 minutes later, he opens up a fortune cookie, and what was
Yeah.
written on it?
Yeah, my brother gave me a fortune cookie and I opened it and it said, "You will make a fortune with your friend." And now
That's
I
our
have it sitting on
podcast.
my desk.
Look, that's our podcast. We're gonna make it big. People are gonna look back at this moment and they're gonna be like, "Huh, where were these guys in life at that moment before they made it big?" So tell me,
Yeah.
Armaan, tell me about yourself. How long were you a fan of the Leafs for?
Probably since I was like 4 or 5. I think it was actually the 2002 season because we went to the conference finals and then also that year was the Olympics. So
Oh
you
yeah.
know, yeah, my family like pretty much just moved to Canada 2 years previous, and then we just loved hockey, and I've been a Leafs fan ever since. And the last playoff win was in 2004, so I
Uh
don't even remember it.
huh.
Uh, I've played hockey since then as well, since 2002.
Uh huh.
Uh, yeah,
Did,
that's pretty much it.
are your brothers did they get you into it, or is it like your whole family was just into
No,
it and
whole
then
family, whole family. I think it was the Canadian Olympic, like the Olympics in 2002.
okay,
I think
okay.
that was really what swept us into hockey, and then after that, like a couple months later, the Leafs went on their run.
Mhm. Cool. Nice.
So if we came to Canada like 2 years later, I don't know if I would have been a hockey fan because like the Leafs didn't do anything after that.
They've been useless ever since.
Yeah, exactly. So like I don't know if I would have actually got swept up in it, which is pretty wild to think about because it's like literally I watched so many Leafs games, so
See, I don't know if
I don't
that's
know
a
what I would be
blessing or
doing
a
with my
curse.
time.
I feel like I should feel sorry for you, honestly. Like that was a mistake.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like from my front, um, I have been into hockey since middle school. I think was like the biggest thing because like I don't think I told you about this, but my grade six English teacher, I think Abby knows about this for sure. My grade six English teacher, he was the Stanley Cup holder, like the Stanley Cup bearer. So when every time there's like a every time the playoffs roll around as the Stanley Cup Finals, he's the one who's in charge of like transporting the cup around and like making sure everything's polished and everything's cleaned up and everything. So he a few of the times he actually traveled with the Stanley Cup winning like players like around.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
And like in grade six, every so in Bristol, this is actually in Bristol. Every few years, I think it's like every 2 years, I believe, or it might be every three. I believe it's every 2 years. He would bring the Stanley Cup to the school, and like it'd be like a whole day where it would just be dedicated to like people coming by and like they separated by like by um by grades, and they'd come by and they'd take pictures like with the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I have a
that's
picture
wild.
with the Stanley Cup. It's actually sick. I
So is
need to
that
pull
when you
that
became
picture
a
up.
fan?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In middle school? Oh
Yeah,
shit, I didn't know
middle
that.
school. It was like pretty late on, not gonna lie. Like I was not a big fan of.
So was your family not like Leafs fans
No, not
growing
at
up?
all.
Because you were born in Canada.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But no, my family was more so into cricket.
Cricket.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm brown. Look at me. But yeah, they were more so into cricket. After I got into the Leafs, my brother got into it and then quickly realized that the team is useless and we're not going anywhere. So He dipped out real
He
quick.
got out early.
Yeah.
Smart man, smart man. No wonder. No
Yeah.
wonder he turned out fine and you're you.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see after he gets his haircut. Okay. After that stream, then we'll see what's happening. Um. But yeah, that was my introduction to hockey. I got I think I got like more into it, especially when we became friends and like we would start talking about it. And that's when
Yeah.
I actually started looking into a lot of like the back end stuff and just looking at like rosters and like thinking about potential trades and stuff like that. Because before that, I was just a casual fan. I'd like
Yeah.
hear about it and it's like, okay, cool. The Leafs are doing like they're winning some games or like whatever.
Yeah. I became like a diehard in like 2016. When we drafted Matthews was when I like from then on I've pretty much watched every Leafs game that I could possibly watch
Yeah.
without missing. Like
Yeah.
so
Do you remember where
it's
we
been a
were?
bad 5 years. What?
Yeah, exactly. Do you remember where we were when Matthews got announced? I remember exactly, and
You
you were there
remember?
for sure.
Was I?
Yes,
I
you
didn't
were.
know that.
100%,
No.
100%. You know where it was?
No.
It was
Was it school? No, it couldn't have been school.
it technically. So we were on the bus. I think it was coming home or going to St. Louis. So full thing.
In 2016. Wait, was it 2016
We
that
were on
happened?
the revised team. I know 100% because like I think it was coming back from St. Louis. So for people who don't remember or like for new viewers, we were on the first robotics team and the world championship was held in St. Louis. So we took the bus all the way from Toronto, the GTA essentially, all the way to St. Louis, Missouri. And it's either on the ride there or on the ride back where Mr. Singh announced to the bus, he's like, for those of you who actually care, the Leafs drafted Austin Matthews.
Holy shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
Also, you're
remember
wearing
it
your
vividly.
254 sweater, eh?
I know, yeah. I remember it vividly because I screamed. I was so happy. I screamed, and then someone from the back of the bus just yelled, "You know the Leafs aren't gonna win from based on one player." And I was like, "Okay, way to ruin my my
Yeah,
happiness."
okay, that does make sense because that would have been 2015. That would have been the summer of 2015. So that would have been my last year in high school.
Yep, yep. I remember
That's
exactly.
wild.
Yeah, that was crazy. Um, but yeah, where the hell were we? But yeah, so been fans for a long time. We've been wanting to do this for a while. I guess like the way that we can talk about like the podcast, what we kind of want to do with the podcast first, and then we can go into the topics. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. So there are a lot of good podcasts out there. Steve Dangle podcast. There's a lot of other great like YouTubers that are very like informative who probably have insider information. I mean, we can try to get Armaan to get insider information.
With my amazing hockey connections of everyone on
Exactly.
my beer league team.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so we kind of just wanted to just shit around, like just make it a casual show where even if you're not big hockey fans, you'd you'd have fun being here. Just because like we talk from a perspective of casual fans, and we want to try to have like different fun segments in between the between our major topics, just to make it a little bit fun and like engaging. And with the Q&A, I think that's gonna be a lot of fun, especially if we have more people that are gonna be watching. I think it'd be kind of cool to have people come in and just either like talk to us personally about like our experiences with the Leafs or like talk about what we think about certain topics or whatnot. It'd just be kind of cool like engagement with the viewers, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we wanted to do. Like we said, it's gonna be every week from 6:30 at 6:30 p.m. starting on Sundays. We need to get a name for the show. So if you guys are actually if you guys are listening and like have any ideas, please reach out and let us know. You can put it in the chat too. Yeah, I guess let's start off with our first topic. I think
Yeah, let's go for it.
I think we should probably start off by just talking about how the Leafs are this week. Um, I guess so. There was I believe four main games this week. It
Yeah,
was the Kings, the Flyers, the Flames, and the Sabres.
yes. So 4 games this week. We finished the week 3-1. Um, So we've won, I think, 8 of our last 9. We started the year pretty rocky.
Yeah.
We had like after the first, what was it, 7 games? I think we were 2-4-1, and after this week we're 10-5-1.
Hmm.
So definitely a step up from how we started, but there's still some causes for concern. I think we can go one by one on each game and talk about it like that.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, it's actually cool because like, what were we like? We were like third last, I guess, like in the league early on in the season, and now we're top three, I believe, right? We're third place in like the whole league
Uh,
on
are
points.
we?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
we're pretty high
Yeah,
up
I think
now.
yeah, we're pretty high up. I know we're second in the division. We're right behind Florida, and we can talk about Florida later. I want to get to them later. But
Hmm.
yeah, let's get started with the individual games.
Okay, so let's start off, I guess, like in order. Let's start with the Leafs and the Kings.
Yeah, so this was a 5-1 loss. It was the only loss of our week. Um, I think this was on Monday, and it was pretty much it was a classic Leafs game.
Hmm.
We got stonewalled by their backup goalie, Jonathan Quick. He played out of his mind. We got a shitload of chances. We couldn't bury anything. We controlled pretty much all of the possession, but we had relatively no puck luck. Campbell wasn't on his game, unfortunately. And of course, the first goal was by former Leaf Trevor Moore. He scored, and former Leaf Carl Grundstrom assisted, and it was literally his first point of the season. So,
Yeah.
classic Leafs game. Uh, But honestly, like the reaction to this game was a bit interesting to me because this was coming off of a 5-game win streak,
Uh-huh.
and in my opinion, we controlled the majority of the play, and yet people were still like incredibly down on the team after this game. And it's a 5-1 loss. I can understand why, but at the same time, the process was there. And we play that game against the same team 99 times. We probably win out of 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
their
How
third
many
goal.
times can Philip Deneau score two
Yeah,
goals in a
exactly,
single game?
exactly. Like their third goal was Philip Deneau crashing the net. It bounces, like the puck goes across, bounces off his skate, hits
Yeah.
Campbell's pad, bounces back on off of his skate, and then barely trickles in over the goal line. Goal line. It's maybe like a few millimeters over the goal line before Dermott like fishes it out.
Yeah.
That's not that like you can't do anything about that. That's just how
The hockey
sometimes
gods
the
just
hockey
smited us.
gods just yeah.
Yeah.
And in my mind, over a full 82 game sample, that'll even out. You're gonna get games where you deserve to lose that you win, and you're gonna get games that you deserve to win that you lose.
Hmm.
And so it's not that big a deal, in a bubble. Uh, but what is concerning is that we're getting stonewalled by a backup, and that's happened, you know, a couple times already this year, and it also happened in the last playoffs, and it also happened in the playoffs previous. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
so the fact that we aren't able to finish on the very high, probability chances that we do get is definitely concerning.
Now, do you
Uh,
think that that's like a mental thing that they go into it thinking that, hey, this is an easy game, let's take off the or take off the brakes, or I guess like put on the brakes and just like relax into it? Are they just not starting hot? Are they taking their competition and not, I guess, like playing their best? What do you think it is?
yeah, I do think it's mental. Because in my opinion, the Leafs play their worst when they're playing well and it's not going right for them.
Uh-huh.
They tend to like when they're scoring goals, they get really hot and they just run on instinct, and their instinct usually is pretty damn good. So
Hmm.
when Nylander started, getting rolling, he never stopped. And when Matthews and Marner get rolling, they don't stop either. But when they go into a slump, that slump lasts a long time just because the timing of everything's,
AKA the
off.
entire off season or entire playoffs last year.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to look very far for examples of that with this Leafs core. So
Yeah.
I think it's a mental thing. It happened when we faced the New York Rangers earlier this season.
Yeah.
We were getting a shitload of chances, couldn't bury them. It happened when we faced, we'll get to it, but Calgary this week, we faced Dan Vladar, their backup, and we couldn't score. And in that game, we'll get to it, but we were lucky that they only scored 1 goal. So
Hmm.
you didn't have to score a lot to get to OT, but in
Yeah.
my opinion, it's not that big a deal. I think our expected goals uh, for this game in LA was like 4.32 or something, and we only scored one goal
Hmm.
over an 82 game sample. That's probably going to even out. But I know that if you follow, okay, so there's an analytical guy on Twitter called Jay Fresh, and he posts a bunch of stuff about it. And we have the lowest expected goals or goals scored above expected. It's like -18, and it's
How
the
do they
lowest by
track that?
a large margin. So expected goals is essentially uh, it's a measure of the probability of a goal being scored based on a bunch of factors like location, shot quality, and all this stuff.
Okay. Interesting.
And essentially, theoretically, what happens is it evens out. Like your goals scored above expected should be zero
Hmm.
because and most for most teams they are. Essentially, it's just a measure of how lucky you've been,
Okay.
and we've been incredibly unlucky
Uh-huh.
according to that measure. But at the same time, uh, the reason we are being unlucky is because of things we can control.
Uh-huh.
You know, because like if you watched this game or the Calgary game where we were having trouble scoring, it's a lot of that goes into the fact that we suck at screening the goalie and creating chaos to, you know,
Try to
increase
get
the probability
chances
of scoring.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
that type of stuff can't really be tracked in an advanced statistic like expected goals. Like you can't measure how well the goalie is screened, you know, their vision of the puck, it's you know, how out of position they are
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like that's not possible to actually show up on a stat sheet.
Hmm.
So there are things we can control about it, but at the same time, we are getting into good locations and shooting from the right spots to get goals. So the process is there. It's just a matter of like fine tuning and making sure that you can get the goalie off of his game because
Hmm.
we don't do enough of that. And this was a sort of a the perfect showcase of that in this game. You know, in a
Yeah.
5-1 loss.
Yeah, I agree. And like this team has historically started off slow. I guess like every single season, since the Matthews era, we've started off slow. So they do kind of, I guess, either pick it up or they do shore up all of these issues like as we go later on this season. One thing
Yeah,
though
for
that's
sure.
one thing that's kind of funny though is the Leafs get torched by absolute, I don't want to say bad players, but just players that shouldn't be torching us, especially like
Yep.
former Leafs
Yep.
players. That's
Exactly.
huge. Trevor Moore, but the other thing, Philip Deneau, this guy went from the from torches on the Habs last year in the playoffs to join in the Kings, and I don't know if you know this, but like all of last year, so of the 54 games I believe he played, either 54 or 53 games, he scored 5 goals all season.
Yep.
Within one game of playing the Leafs,
You got
he
two, right?
scored two.
Against us? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
he has like more than half the goals that he has all from all of last year at this point, and two of them have come from one game against the Leafs. Like,
Yeah, honestly, I think we
what's going on?
single-handedly got him that $6 million contract with the way he played against us. Like, I don't think like if we bounced Montreal, firstly, okay, so this is insane.
He
If
goes
we
from
bounced
league
Montreal in
minimum.
the first round, he probably doesn't get a $6 million contract,
Oh
right?
yeah, no way.
Ducharme probably gets fired. He doesn't get extended as a coach,
Mm.
and Bergevin probably gets fired, and he doesn't get extended as a GM.
You think so? You think they'd fire Bergevin
Yeah,
for
dude,
that?
they haven't won anything, and now they're thinking of firing Bergevin now,
I
and
thought
they just went to
Bergevin
the
was
Cup
doing
final.
fine. He was
Yeah,
like,
but he's been there for like 8 years, and they have like nothing to show for it up until they beat us and then went on that Cinderella run.
I mean,
Like if
that's
they got
true.
bounced in the first round, there was no future for that. You know, they were all like when we were up 3-1, there were literally articles being written about how
Calling for their
Bergevin and
head,
Ducharme
getting
were gonna
all of them
go.
out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
And
funny
so,
though
you
that
know,
like it's funny that
brutal.
we've had how many seasons with Dubas as our GM now, and like there's no repercussions that are coming out of it. I feel like people are still are now they're I guess they're starting to finally call Dubas out um and expose him, I guess, for all the dumb trades and all the dumb contract extensions that he's done. But you can't really blame him when the players are just not
Yeah,
performing.
I don't really blame Dubas for a lot of the problems the
And
Leafs
yeah,
have.
Kyle, they were the lowest seed in the North. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
nuts. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
and Yeah, I don't know. I don't really blame him too much for a lot of the stuff. Like obviously the Marner contract and the Matthews contract and all the contract negotiations he's done with RFAs
Mhm.
hasn't been too solid.
Yeah.
Uh, but I will say like, this team currently is being hampered a lot by decisions made previous to him.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, he's kind of getting off of all of that now. Like Tyson Berry, the only
and
reason he
now
was
he's
there was
gotten off
because
of it.
of Kadri. Like, there's a lot of. I feel like at this point, the team is his. What if they win,
The
they
team is
lose, or
his, but
whatever?
what I'm
It's
saying
his
is
team.
like you don't have the highest like when you're a cap team like the Leafs are,
Hmm.
the best contract for any cap team is an ELC, the entry level contract that
Yeah.
you sign directly out of getting drafted,
Yeah.
right? That's the most efficient contract. Cale Makar was like second in Norris voting 2 years in a row, and he was getting 700 grand a year. Like that is easily the most efficient contract. Now he's getting 9.5. Like,
Yeah. It's
that's
nuts.
10% of the cap being allocated to one player. And they performed the same as last year, and he was getting, a measly under 1 mil,
Yeah.
right? That has to come with good drafting. And what really has hampered us over the past 2, 3 years is the fact that we haven't had any draft picks come up from the Lou Lamoriello and Mark Hunter era of drafting. 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017.
Uh
Those
huh.
are 4 years where the only picks to play on the Leafs have been first rounders,
Yeah. Yeah. Because that was Nylander was one of those years, and
Nylander was
then
2014,
Marner,
Marner was
and
2015.
then Matthews.
Travis Dermott is the only person who was drafted second round in
Yeah. You're right.
2015.
Uh huh.
And then the rest of them have been, and like, when you look at like the way our entire team is structured, in the future, at least in the next couple of years, we're going to have a lot more efficiency within our lower end contracts with guys like Nick Robertson, Rodion Amarov, and then even the depth guys that we've gotten. Like they've all got ELCs. Like we've signed them to ELCs.
Hmm.
We didn't have anyone before that. From 2014 to 2017, the only people to have signed an ELC with us are first rounders.
Yeah.
And then if you
Yeah.
go from there, like in 2018, we have 5 ELCs from that draft class alone. So that is what we need to utilize. And in my opinion, like that's a large portion of why our depth has sucked ass
Hmm.
over the past couple of years because we have to. And this is partly Kyle Dubas's fault too for giving Marner that contract, but you kind of have to navigate this scenario of being a cap team without having the most efficient use of cap available to you because we fucking drafted Igor Korshkov instead of Alex DeBrincat
Yeah. It's a very
in the
fine
second round.
line.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Well, that all
Korshkov
of
was
that
a
is a
double
lot of.
overager.
A
He's a
lot of that
double
is in
overager,
hindsight,
right?
though.
And no, but it's not. They drafted like shit at the time. Korshkov was a double overager. He was 2 years older than everyone else in that draft class, and he
Uh
was
huh.
like playing in the KHL and had limited
Did he have
offensive
bad
potential.
numbers?
He was okay. He's not a 31st overall pick. Like if
Okay.
you think about that right now,
Which draft was
Korshkov
this?
has 2016.
2016.
Korshkov
Okay.
has played one game in the NHL with the Leafs at least, and now he's in the AHL, and he's like 26 years old, right? But he's not going to amount to anything, at least beyond being a fourth liner at best, right?
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? Yeah, so he didn't even have that great numbers, and a 31st overall pick in today's NHL is a first round pick
Uh
because
huh.
we've had two expansion teams come into the. You
Yeah.
can't you can't be spending that sort of draft value on a guy that is 2 years older than everyone else and has a very limited potential. Like that is when you go for the guys like Alex DeBrincat who have that explosive talent and are just like that. DeBrincat is, in my opinion, a Dubas pick. Like he would have been. He's a small guy. He's undersized. He's undervalued, and he's bad at skating. Those are
Hmm.
things you can develop. You cannot develop IQ. You cannot develop hockey IQ. And if you look at Dubas's drafting strategy throughout his entire thing, he looks at age as a huge performance factor. Like we've drafted the youngest guy in 2018, 2019, 2020. Nick Robertson was the youngest of his draft class. We got him 53rd overall.
Yeah.
If he was born a week later, he would have been top 15 in the 2020 draft. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We got very lucky
Like,
on that pick. Very,
but
very lucky.
my point is like there's a skill to that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dubas will not see the fruition of that skill that he's shown
for a while.
Probably for the next 2 years at least.
Mm-hmm.
That's when those guys will develop and start, being high impact on the Leafs.
And
And
we also
so,
have a lot of defensemen, and those guys take a lot longer to develop as well.
yeah, exactly. Like Sandin was a 28th overall pick, and he's leapfrogged like Liljegren in our prospect pool. And I think Corey Pronman, who's an athletic writer, did a redraft of the 2018, and he put him at 15.
Mm-hmm.
Like, part of being a good team and navigating the cap is drafting well. And we drafted like shit for so long, and that's hampered what Dubas can even possibly do with the team.
Yeah, yeah.
He's had no one come up from those uh, draft years. Like, he's had literally no one come up. Adam Brooks was here for a minute. He was a 2016 fourth rounder, and he's no longer on the team.
Yeah, it's been
Like
pretty
no
tough.
one, like literally no one except for first rounders are on the team anymore, and that's unacceptable. That's like completely unacceptable.
That sounds exactly like Vegas, but we'll talk about Vegas a little bit later
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
afterwards. But yeah, do we want to move on? I guess that
Yeah,
was a good.
yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on to the Flyers.
Yeah. Okay. So the Flyers. This is actually a pretty good game. So this was a shutout. The Leafs scored. It was a 3-0 win for the Leafs. Nylander scored
Yeah.
2, and then Cassie scored 1.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this game?
Yeah. Really. Yeah, it was just a clean win. I think everyone performed well.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so the most like surprising and my favorite performance of that night was Nick Ritchie, because he probably had his
Okay.
best game as a Leaf. Because he has been severely disappointing up until now. Nick Ritchie is like
In what
240
way, by the way?
pounds. How has he been disappointing?
Yeah.
Because we got Nick Ritchie for one reason, and that's to stand in front of the net and screen the goalie and knock pucks in and do stuff like that. And like, as I said before, we haven't been doing that well, and that's partly because he loses net front position way too easily, and he's
Mhm.
too big for that. He's like 240 pounds. Like, he's like legit a tank.
Oh,
He's
so he's
240
not
pounds, and
assuming his weight. Yeah.
yeah, he's not using his body well, and so
Okay.
that's that's the main thing. But in this game, he kept the because Tavares was out due to injury. He was moved up to power play 1, which is a huge opportunity,
Mhm.
and he kept the puck alive on 2 separate plays on that power play by using his hands in tight, and he got a good shot off, and then he gathered his own rebound and like seeing the sick pass to Nylander, who scored, right?
Mhm.
And so that was his best game by far, which is encouraging to see. We just need him to do more of that, because we have him for 2 years at 2.5 million. So that contract isn't really looking good right now.
Yeah.
Probably the worst contract that we signed over the offseason this year. So,
Mhm.
we need him to perform well, because he fills a void that we don't have anyone else to do. We don't have that kind of big guy. It's him, it's Wayne Simmons, and that's it, right? Like,
Exactly.
Bunting's too small
Yeah.
to do that. Kerfoot's too small to do that. They do it. They're tenacious, and they'll attempt to do it, but they just don't
They
have
just
the
don't have the
mass
weight.
to like
Yeah.
to be a net front presence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need him to perform well, and that was his best game by far. He still took a really dumb penalty where he ripped the helmet off of someone, which was just stupid as hell. But
Hey, if
he
you're
had
a
his
big
best game.
guy, you gotta scare them a little bit.
Yeah, him and Nylander were fantastic.
Yeah.
Liljegren and Dean were really good that game as well, especially because they didn't have a good game against the Kings.
Mhm.
Like, they were the defensive pair that got walked by Trevor Moore. So that was probably their only bad game against the Kings. So against the Flyers, they definitely bounced back, which is nice to see. Campbell got a shutout, which obviously means he played well.
That's right. Yeah.
But honestly, like, he didn't really have to do much. The defensive structure we had in that game was really, really, really good. We cleared all rebounds. There was no second chances. Yeah, it was just a really complete game. And what else? Kirill Semyonov, who was a KHL signing over the offseason, played in his first NHL game of his career. He had very limited time, but he wasn't too out of place. He's got 9 points in 9 AHL games so far this
Mhm.
year.
That's pretty
So
good.
his
Yeah.
game, yeah, his game is translated pretty well to North American ice, which isn't always the case. But
Exactly.
he
Yeah.
looked pretty good in limited time. He, not the most creative person, but skated and forechecked, which he was good
Yeah.
in my opinion. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. The Leafs, they did allow a lot of shots on goals, but a lot of them, well, most of them, they didn't look scary at all. It just
yeah, they
looked
didn't
like,
look scary, and I think it's also
yeah,
due to like score effects, because we were ahead, and so we kind of played conservatively. We didn't take too many chances on the rush or anything like that.
yeah,
Because when you're ahead, you're not supposed to because you don't want to,
give them a chance to come into the
yeah,
game
you don't
and
want to give them a chance on
yeah,
like an odd man rush back. You want to limit their chances as best you can. And I thought we played I thought it was just a really good game
yeah, I
overall
agree.
for us.
Yeah, this is honestly the most standard game, I guess, like out of all of them. It was very plain, very basic.
Yeah, yeah,
They played
exactly.
well, but the Flyers did not play great at all either. So it was kind
Yeah,
of like, um, I guess with LA, the Leafs did not play well at all. With this one, it was kind of iffy because I know a lot of other analysts are talking about the same thing. Is like, are the Leafs playing well, or was Philly just that much worse than the Leafs in that
yeah.
night? Right?
I mean,
Was it just Philly just messing
Philly
up?
was pretty shit, but
Yeah,
the Leafs played well, and
yeah,
I think that's a
agreed.
part of it. Like you create your own luck, right? You create your own. Uh, you can only play the team that's in front of you, and so
Exactly,
it's
exactly.
nice to see us beat a team that's playing badly.
Yeah, and
Because
the best part about it, like you mentioned earlier as well, is they were getting rid of all the other rebounds, right? So that I
yeah,
feel like the defensive portion of that game was
yeah,
phenomenal.
and we did that all without Tavares. Kerfoot was our
Yeah,
second line center that game. So it's not exactly like we had an all-star cast that we usually do. We were missing one of our $11 million guys. So uh, it's good to see, honestly. And
yeah,
honestly, Matthews didn't even have that great of a game. So Nylander was fantastic, but
he's
yeah,
been fantastic like this whole
yeah, he's been the
season.
best Leaf.
Yeah, by far, by far. Okay, let's I guess like move on to the Leafs and Flames. This is the game where it was tied 1-1, and then the Leafs won it in OT with Matthews. Finally,
Yeah.
it's been a
So
while, a long time coming for this guy, right?
yeah, yeah. Again, we got stonewalled by a fucking backup.
Hmm.
Uh, we were getting our chances again. Like I don't know what it is about goalies that play the Leafs, but they're always so much better than they usually are.
I feel like
Like
that's with any player, even forwards
Dan
do that.
Vladar is stonewalled. Like he was insanely good, and even with the Flames, like last year with David Rittich, and then we got him on our team and he was shit. So yeah, it's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were really good. I thought we controlled most of the play again. Yeah, Matthews' goal was kind of interesting because he had 8 shots that game, and on the eighth shot he scored, and it was the OT winner. But that was arguably like the least, like the
Likely that it would
lowest, yeah,
try.
the least
Yeah.
likely to score out of all of his shots. Like he had 3 shots that were one timers on the power play that were cross crease passes, right?
Hmm.
And they didn't go in. He had a breakaway in the overtime, and he tried to go 5-hole, and Dan Vladar barely touched it. So
Yeah. I believe like it seems like that's a huge thing that's happened to Matthews like this whole season though. Like he's been getting chances, but they just haven't been going through to the back of the net, right?
yeah, exactly, yeah, and you take the ones you get, right? Like
Hmm.
the one the goal he got in OT was literally just like he came in with the puck, crossed the blue line, moved a little to the right, and then at the top of the circle he shot a wrist shot, and it just went in. It was a 2-on-2. It wasn't an odd man rush. Like that's a pretty low percentage play for literally anyone other than Matthews, but Matthews' shot is so ridiculous that
Yep.
it goes in sometimes, and so
Uh-huh.
yeah, like hats off to the team for staying with it because that was a very frustrating game to probably play in because they were getting a shitload of shots and nothing was going in, and they pretty much just barely won, but a win's a win.
Yeah, agreed.
It was a very complete game by the team though. Like I you can't I can't really complain about anything regarding that. Like that you
Yeah,
controlled like
they were
80% of the
controlling it.
play, and
Exactly.
even when Calgary scored, they controlled the play after that. Like they didn't slow down, they didn't get deflated because of it, and they eventually got rewarded for it. So
Hmm.
it's nice to see.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was also a very standard game. The next game though, Leafs and Sabres. Holy.
Oh shit.
What the hell
We
was
played
going
like we
on with
played
this
we
game?
played like shit. We
Yeah.
played like complete shit, and we got the win. And so that kind of cancels out the Kings game, in my opinion, because we did not deserve at all to win that.
This Sabres
Okay,
though,
so
they've been playing pretty well. Like considering they
yeah,
lost Jack Eichel, and we'll talk about
yeah,
that later on as well. But holy crap, this team is like really turning it on.
they've been good for like this better part of the first like 10 games of the season. So
Yeah,
it's interesting to see. I didn't think they had a good game this game either, though.
I feel like
And
none of the
honestly,
teams had a
like,
good game.
yeah,
Even
no,
the
no
Leafs
one,
were just
yeah, the
really bad.
Sabres and the Leafs were both really bad,
Yeah.
which is sad to say that, we're being even put on the same level as the Sabres, let alone worse than them. So,
Uh,
yeah, it was just a bad game to watch. It was really sloppy.
when
And
there's 9 goals in a
another
game, like it's gonna be pretty
9 goals in a
bad.
game. And like, okay, so you know how I said we got like 4.44 expected goals in like the Kings game and the Flames game and stuff like that?
Yeah.
We had 1.91 in this game. And the Sabres had 2.15, and then
Oh
like
jeez.
the game ended up 5-4. That just means like no, you weren't even being good offensively, and then on top of that, your goalies were shit and you were bad
They're just
defensively.
letting
Like
everything
it's
in basically.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't think we mentioned it, but the game was it was 5-4 for for the Leafs.
yeah, that was definitely the worst game of the week. Joseph Wall was our goalie that game. It's his first game in the NHL. I do not blame him for any of the goals against,
Blame our defensive
particularly
core.
because we had horrible defensive coverage in all of them.
Yep.
He did look a little lost, but it's his first game. He's a young kid. It was good to see him get the win, and it was good to see him like his mom was in the crowd. It's probably pretty special for him. So
Hmm.
I'm definitely glad that we won that game because the last time we had a rookie goaltender, playing a game was Kaskasuo against Pittsburgh, where we lost 6-1, and then Mike Babcock got fired 2 games later. So luckily we didn't leave him out to dry offensively at least, and we scored 5 goals. So
Uh-huh.
that's nice. Also, that Riley game winner with like 11 seconds to go. Did you see? Did you like watch the replay
I
of that?
I didn't, but yeah, tell me
Okay.
about it.
It bounced. Okay, so it was 11 seconds to go in the period. We were tied. It was
Uh-huh.
going to go to OT. Riley gets the puck and he shoots it from the point, and it bounces off the bar,
Okay.
hits outside of the net, and then has backspin to go into the net.
It just rolls in.
It like no, it like bounces in. Like I guess it was a knuckle puck,
Okay.
but it literally hits like in the crease and then
Uh-huh.
bounces back. I've never seen a shot do that ever in my life. So we got a
Okay.
lot of puck luck that game. And
Uh-huh.
also, oh god, David Kampf's the first goal of the game, 1-0 was for us,
Uh-huh.
and it might be the goal of the year, and just it was fucking horrible. Like literally, David Kampf just fans on a shot, and it just trickles in like very slowly under Aaron Dell, who is their goalie.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Like yeah, it was just a sloppy game overall. I don't know what anyone was doing in that game.
Yeah,
Win's a
sloppy on
win.
both sides. Whatever.
Yeah, it
It is
kind of
what it
blows my
is.
mind that we got 2 points from that and not the LA game or something like that. So
Uh-huh.
it's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually cool because like it was nice seeing like although he's on the other team, he's on the Sabres. It was nice seeing Jeff Skinner getting those 2 goals. Cause like
Yeah,
so far,
he's been good this season.
yeah, he's gone 5 goals in 14 games. Last year, so last year was the short end of the season, obviously. That one in 53 games, he got 7 goals. So he's been
Yep.
playing really, really well. And how old is he now? 28 or something, or 29? So
I think he's 29 now.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's not
29.
that. I guess like he's in his prime, but he's not that old. He's been playing pretty
Yeah, he's not that
well.
old.
Yeah,
It's the contract that's horrible for him.
yeah, yeah.
He's getting like $9 million, so he's got to be a lot better. But yeah, given that they don't have a lot of talent on that roster, you know,
They're
that's
gonna be on
pretty
a
good.
rebuild. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they're rebuilding, and I think they're doing a good job of it. And I guess we can get into the Eichel trade now that we're talking about the Sabres too.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Let's do that. Okay. So, I guess let me just talk about like what happened in the trade, and then I'll ask you about, and like we'll break down each part of the trade itself. Does that
yeah,
sound good?
sounds good. Yep.
Okay. So, this happened like last week, the week before, I believe, but there was a huge trade with Jack Eichel finally. This has been talked about for months now. Um, and surprisingly, the Golden Knights got him. I really thought that he was going to go to the Flames, But regardless, so the Golden Knights received Jack Eichel and a conditional pick. I'll explain the conditional pick. And the Sabres got Alex Tuck, which is actually, I looked into him. He's actually a really, really good player. This is a good piece to build, or well, not to build around, but he's a good supplemental piece as well. They also got Peyton Krebs, I believe.
Yeah,
Krebs?
Peyton Krebs.
Yeah, that's how you say it. He's a 20-year-old. We don't really know too much. I'll ask you a little bit more about him as well. And the conditions for the picks. So they got two conditional picks. So if the first round pick in 2020, or sorry, 2022 for Vegas is not in the top 10, then the Sabres get Vegas's first round in 2022 and the second round in 2023. Now, if the first round pick is in the top 10 for this coming year, so in 2022, the Sabre gets Vegas's first round in 2023 and the second in 2024, and then Vegas, or sorry, and then the Knights get Buffalo's third round in 2024. So they basically swap picks on that
Yeah,
for
they
second
swapped
and
picks
third.
on that.
Yeah. So that was the conditional pick. Um, I guess first let's talk about each of the players that Sabres got, and then we can talk about Jack Eichel and like how he can finally get his disc replacement. Because holy crap! Or actually, let's
Yeah,
talk about Jack Eichel first. He was a big part of the trade. Let's talk about him. So he is going to be out for 3 to 5 months, but he's
yeah,
finally getting the disc replacement that he wanted to get. I think that
yeah.
was a
So
huge part of this whole thing. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, to give some background, so Jack Eichel was going to get surgery for his spine, for his neck, and so he wanted to get a surgery that the Sabres disapproved of, and the Sabres didn't let him, which is why he ended up requesting a trade and why it was so, um, you know, it's so divisive, I guess, between the team and Eichel. So that's why this whole thing kind of happened, is because he wanted to get the surgery, and the surgery was divisive to Buffalo because it hasn't been done on a hockey player before,
Hmm.
and so yeah, that's pretty much it. That was just some background.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. It was kind of weird though seeing that they wouldn't let him do anything, I guess, like this whole time because this injury happened last year. It's been a
Yeah,
while since he's been
yeah,
injured.
they were sort of in a holdout because if he did the surgery, uh, the Buffalo Sabres owner had, I guess, the right to void his contract,
Hmm.
because so this is definitely going to be a conversation in the next like negotiation between the
The
Players
CBA.
Association and the NHL.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially the owners and the team has full say of what a player does with their body regarding injuries. Um, and so that's why there was kind of a holdout. Eichel didn't want the surgery they wanted him to get. He thought the for the long term health of himself, and rightfully so, for the long term health of himself, that he thought the surgery he wanted was better, and he got plenty of doctors' opinions on it. But Buffalo was pretty steadfast on him doing the other surgery
Hmm.
because of,
The risk,
most
basically,
likely
to the
because of,
generational
yeah,
player.
short term risk is the
Hmm.
idea. So it's a pretty fucked up situation. So I'm glad it kind of worked out for Eichel, and he got to move out and he's on a good team rather than, you know, being on some shitty team where he can't make the playoffs because he's never played in the playoffs before. And
Hmm.
he's, so it's good for him in my opinion. So it's nice
Yeah.
to see him get put to Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is a great place. We'll talk about him getting moved to LTIR in just a bit. But yeah, let's talk about what the Sabres got now.
Yeah,
So,
so the Sabres originally were asking, at least during negotiations, were asking for the equivalent of 4 first round picks. And
hmm.
so what they come out with was Alex Tuck, a first round pick, Peyton Krebs, and a second rounder, right?
Hmm.
So Alex Tuck was a first round pick, but he's 25 years old. He's kind of a known quantity at this point. He's a middle six winger and a good one at that. Peyton Krebs was a 2019 first rounder. He
Yep,
was
17th
picked
overall.
17th overall, I believe, yeah. And then a top 10 protected first round pick, and then a second rounder. So it's not actually that far off of what they were asking for. I was originally a little more down on this trade on the Buffalo side of things because I thought they could have gotten more, but considering the circumstances of Eichel wanting out and the whole tumultuous like situation with the Sabres, um, they actually did pretty well. They came out. with a solid player who's young enough to be kind of on their core for their rebuilding years, but still good enough to play when they're a good team. In the next 4 or 5 years, he's 25 years old right now. So, if their rebuild lasts 4 years, he'll be 29 and he'll still be able to play in that middle six role and be a leader on their team. So that's pretty good. Peyton Krebs is really underrated in my opinion. He's a solid prospect. The only thing I wish they did, and I wish it was a sticking point for them, is to not top 10 protect that pick from Vegas. And the reason for that is because Vegas is missing Jack Eichel this year. They're
Hmm.
missing Stone and they're missing Pacioretty for long portions.
Yeah,
There's a chance that pick
is
this
gonna
year
be in
is
the
going to
top
be in
10.
the top 10.
Yeah, yeah,
And you protecting that, and if it moves to next year where they're Stanley Cup contenders, you're pretty much guaranteeing you're getting a late first.
yeah,
And the drop off from late first to mid first or even top 10 is crazy. And that should have been a sticking point for them to be like, no, like we want this pick, right?
yeah,
Because in my opinion, getting Peyton Krebs, who's a mid first, a late first, a second rounder, and then Tuck, who's a middle six winger, that doesn't sound as good as getting like this top 10 pick.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
in my opinion, that should have been a huge negotiating point, and I hope it was for the Buffalo administration, and I hope they weren't just like, yeah, you can top 10 protect it, who cares? Because it has so much value being unprotected, especially in this year where Vegas is going to struggle, missing like three of their best players, right? So
exactly. And if you look at the standings, like who would have guessed that the Sabres would be at the top of the table versus the Golden Knights, who are
yeah,
completely
exactly.
at the
Like no
bottom.
one was really expecting Vegas to be bad, so.
Yeah. So this pick would be
Under
pretty
normal
big.
circumstances, I would be fine with top 10 protecting it because it wouldn't even be projected that Vegas would be doing poorly.
Hmm.
But under the circumstances we are in, where we know that Pacioretty and Stone are out long term and then Eichel will miss like 4 months,
Yeah.
like why would you top 10 protect it? There's a really good chance of that happening. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? So
Yeah. Exactly. But what
that's
do
my
you
opinion
think?
of that.
So what do you think about other teams? Because I know there was a huge thing about the Flames, especially
Yeah.
where they were
So
looking
that
to trade Kachuk for that.
Yeah, that was partly why I was kind of disappointed at first with the return that Buffalo got because the report was by Kevin Weeks, I believe, and he said it was Kachuk in like two firsts or something like that.
Yeah.
And Buffalo should take that and run with it, right?
Hmm.
So it was a bit weird seeing that the return that they actually got was less. But what I think was being reported after was that Weeks' report wasn't entirely correct. I believe what was happening was that's what the Sabres were asking for, but that's not what Calgary offered,
Oh, I see.
right?
Okay.
So if that offer was on the table
You
for
take
for the
that.
Sabres, you take that over what they got. Like it's
Exactly.
it's it's a really good deal. But what I've read is that that wasn't actually what was being offered by Calgary.
Hmm.
So it kind of makes sense what happened. Um, and I believe Calgary and Buffalo have both stated that that report was false. So I
So
guess it
the
makes sense.
insider sources from Armaan, they came out and said
From me reading Twitter accounts from actual
that.
insiders. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. They actually they got good return anyways. Like
Yeah, they
it's
got decent
all
returns
right.
for
Yeah.
the circumstances they were put in. Like I tip my hat to Kevin Adams, who's the Buffalo GM,
Hmm.
for being put in this horrible situation that was in no part his own. Like at the end of the day, it's the owner's fault for not letting him get the surgery.
Yeah.
That's not up to the GM. It's the owners just being dickheads.
Yeah.
And so you put your GM into a pretty tough position where your, you know, biggest star player wants out and is like refusing to even like work with you and for correct reasons. So
Hmm.
he did actually a really good job, and so being put in that position is really hard. I think like it's very similar to the situation that Ottawa was in with Melnick and Pierre Dorian, who was the GM of the Senators when he wasn't willing to pay any of his guys and they all left.
Especially Carl
And now
Carlson.
the Senators are kind of looking all right.
Hmm.
Even after when they traded Carlson, everyone thought they got a bad return, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's tough to be in that position where you have to trade a star player. I think they did a decent job in terms of return, and they're finally committed to actually rebuilding as well. So,
Hmm. Now, there's also a lot talked about no retained salary. So a lot of people are saying that I guess it was a good thing that they did not retain salary because uh, if you are looking to rebuild and potentially be a contender within the foreseeable future, you don't want to have probably around like $5 million, $4 million taken up in your cap salary from retained. But
Yeah, for sure.
realistically, I don't see the Sabres becoming contenders within the next, I guess, like 4 years. You
Yeah.
can whittle it down as well. You don't need to give like the whole five million for all the remaining contract duration as well, right?
Uh, I'm not sure if you can do part years, but the I think the sticking point with that is Eichel's contract is a pretty long time, right? So
It's
it's like
five more
six or
years.
is it 5 more
2025.
years?
It's 2025,
2025.
2026. That's
Yeah,
what
so
it says.
retaining for 5 years could put you in a binding.
Hmm.
Like, we could talk about the Leafs here. We retained on Phil Kessel, and that's coming off the books next year.
But we
Like
were
we're
in a
still
lot better position at that point, though. We
yeah, but
had all the star
we turned
players. Buffalo
no
does not really.
when we traded Kessel, we didn't.
Yeah, that's the year we signed Matthews. No,
No. It was before that. He was off the team in
what year was that?
2015, I think. He was
So
off the
that was after
team.
signing Marner or after drafting Marner.
It was after drafting Marner, but before Matthews.
Okay, okay.
And we retained 1.2 million on him, and
Hmm.
that's gone on. And we could really use that 1.2 million right now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like that's a huge portion of our cap crunch is that we're retaining on Kessel. So I can understand why Buffalo didn't want to retain. The issue is they could have taken back a contract. Like they could have
oh yeah.
utilized their cap space and been like, we can take one of your contracts if you give us a better deal.
Uh-huh.
Because like usually these bad contracts aren't that long. Like, you're not retaining salary for 6 years if you take on a bad contract, right? You could like they were under the cap floor, you know what I mean? So they
Uh-huh.
could utilize their cap space and really get a shitload of assets to make their situation a lot better. But they didn't do that, which was surprising. But I do agree that retaining salary on Eichel was probably a bad move, just because you don't know what happens in 3 years. You might be a contender by then,
Yeah.
depending on how you draft. Like they've gotten Owen Power. They got a shitload of prospects because they've been shit for like 15 years. You know what I mean? So
Basically, as
you
long as the
know,
Leafs were shipped for
yeah, exactly. And
before they
they've
got
got a
Matthews.
ton of high draft picks to show for it. And
Yeah.
so they could turn it around in the next 4 years. And if they're still retaining an Eichel, that could really uh, you know, that could really limit you into what you can do. So, in
Yeah.
my opinion, they could have done a better job of, taking on a bad contract
Hmm.
rather than retaining on Eichel to get a sweeter deal.
That makes sense. Yeah, that would be a better I guess like middle ground between that because once you get the contract by the time you're contenders, hopefully the contract will be off the books at that point anyways. And even if you get another extra first round pick or maybe even part of the deal with the conditional picks, if you remove that condition and just say that it's an unprotected or it is a unprotected first round regardless in 2022, that could also sweeten the deal as well. Like that could work
Yeah,
out
for
too.
sure.
Yeah. Um, I guess like we can also talk about the LTIR situation that Vegas has going on. Like right
Yeah, it's
now,
pretty insane. How much do
it's
they have in
nuts.
LTR right now?
So I believe it's above 15 mil. I believe it's like 17 mil because right now they have Eichel for 10 million, Max Pacioretty for 17, and then they have Jake Bis Biskov, I believe
I
that's
don't
how you
even know
spell
who
his name.
that is.
Yeah, I don't know, but that he's on for $700,000. So they're
Interesting.
around the 17.7 mil a year in
Wow.
LTIR. That's
They're
nuts.
gonna pull a lightning 18
Exactly.
mil over
Yeah.
the cap.
And I thought the Leafs were pretty bad until I saw last year with the Lightning, and I thought that team was really bad with LTIR, and then
Yeah.
I see Vegas.
Yeah, there's a lot of cap shenanigans that go on, so I wonder what they're gonna do with it.
Yeah.
You could do a lot with LTIR space. We'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, it's never a bad thing to have LTIR space regardless. So
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
they're liking every moment of this.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess okay. So this is another a segment that I kind of wanted to get your take on.
Yeah, go for it.
So LTIR is a really stupid thing in in, in terms of cap situation. It's so complicated. I
It's
barely
very
understand it right
needlessly
now.
complicated.
Yeah, it's so stupid. And the funny thing about this is like the teams that actually know how to work around LTIR before this was essentially just the Leafs, and the only reason was because we had a guy that worked on
Yeah. Our
creating
assistant
the
GM
LTIR.
created the CPA.
Yeah, like what the hell? And then
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like they saw that and they're like, wait a minute, we
Teams
can
got
play this.
capologists. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um.
they're specifically guys who are hired to navigate the cap,
Yeah.
and that's like their entire job.
Yeah.
And they work with the GM. And yeah, it's the reason you have to do that is because the cap is very complicated to the point where there's a shitload of weird minor loopholes that you can do to accrue cap space
Hmm.
that I do not fully understand. And LTIR has a ton of rules which just are like, why is this? This should be so simple. It should just be like, is this guy injured?
Yes or
Have
no?
him out. You're good. Like,
Okay, okay.
I don't know.
Before you give
It's
too
really
much though,
weird.
before you give too much, if there's actually people who are still listening and actually here, type one in chat because this next segment that I wanted us to get involves your input from chat. If people are not here, then I'll be the deciding factor on this. But if there are people here, type one. Okay, we got Abby.
That's me.
Oh, that's you. Okay, okay, never mind. Okay, we got Kyle
Oh my
still.
god, Kyle.
Okay, Kyle will be the deciding factor. At least we have one
What a
person.
G.
Okay, Kyle. First of all, do you know how familiar are you with LTIR? Please don't Google it if you don't know. If you don't know,
There's no way.
just say you don't know. We're gonna wait till chat picks up and then see. Sort of familiar. Okay. Well, don't look up anything else. Don't try to like get familiar with it. Armaan, I
Yeah.
want you to explain LTIR as if you're explaining it to a complete newbie. Someone who has
I
no
don't
idea
even
what
know
the hell is going.
LTI for
This
myself.
exactly. That's the fun of the segment.
Okay,
You're gonna
so
try to explain it. Try to explain it to a newbie. You don't have to go too complicated, but at the end of this, we're gonna get Kyle to vote on if you did a good job, yes or no. And then
okay, I think I can explain it
we'll think
in
of some
layman's.
kind of like we'll think of some kind of punishment if you can't get it. But
Okay, so should I start?
yeah. Do you want me to give you a timer? Yeah. Okay. Let's do a timer. I think that'll be kind of fun.
Fucker. Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna have a timer. Don't Google anything. I swear to God.
Yeah, I won't. I got it all in my head. I'm a genius.
Okay. Look at this guy.
I'm a capologist myself.
Yeah, he's trying to get his trying to get signed by the Leafs now, eh? Dubas, if you're out there listening, you got this guy. He's got all the insider information. You have no idea. All these guys who get their sources, they go to Armaan first. Okay, I'm gonna give you
Okay.
2 minutes. Okay, do you think that's
2
enough
minutes.
time?
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, that's enough time.
Or should I make it 1 minute 30 seconds?
No, no, no. Make
Two
it 2
minutes.
minutes. There's a lot to
Okay.
go over.
Okay.
Actually, no. Make it 1 minute 30 seconds. I could do that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. 1 minute 30 seconds. He's
How am
getting
I?
cocky now.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
want
Okay.
to put this on record. He decided to do this. Okay, ready? Three,
Okay. Yeah.
2, 1, go.
Okay, so the NHL has a hard cap, meaning that you cannot go over that cap over of the salaries of the salary of the players you roster, right? So the LTIR stands for long-term injured reserve, and it's essentially stating if a player on your team will be out for a long period of time, you can put him on to LTIR. And when a player is on an LTIR, the team can exceed their cap by the amount that the player on LTIR makes, right? So the amount that a team can exceed the cap is specifically what the LTIR pool is. So if it, so the okay, so what the Lightning did last year, right, was put their star player Nikita Kucherov on LTIR for the entire season, right? So they had, I think, 9 million in LTIR for him alone. Now the interesting thing is when the playoffs happen, cap no longer matters, and you can exceed the cap by however much you want. So they had him on the LTIR for the entire year, meaning they could have go $9 million over the cap for the entire year. And then when playoffs hit, they brought him back. And the 9 million that they used for guys that they brought in the regular season now doesn't matter. They could be on the team as well, right? So then essentially you can go over cap with guys on LTIR, and then when the playoffs hit, cap doesn't matter. So that's how teams kind of get around loopholes of making
5 seconds.
themselves much better on the playoffs by using LTIR to go over the cap. Done.
What the? Okay,
Is that good?
that was okay. No, no, I'm not gonna give. Kyle, how do you think he did? Yay or nay? Did he do a good job? Pretty good.
Pretty good. Suck my dick,
I
Kyle.
agree.
That was good.
Yo,
That was insane.
I don't
I'm
know how you
happy.
did that, dude.
I'm
You got it
proud of
down to a
myself.
T. Were you practicing? I swear, I did not tell him about this
No, you
question.
didn't. You didn't tell me this beforehand.
I was so
I'm a
certain he's gonna
genius.
fuck up. I was like, I was going into this, and right before this call, I talked to him, and I was like, "You're gonna mess this up."
I already knew all that.
Okay, but like,
See, we needed a complete newbie.
no, but honestly, that was pretty good. Like, if I was actually like reducing my brain to like void all hockey
I mean,
stuff,
that's the
that
layman
made
stuff
sense.
of it, though. Like, there's a lot more that goes into it about
But you
how
hit the
you
point.
can
I
exceed the
didn't
cap.
think. I didn't think you'd. I thought you'd get flustered and you wouldn't hit on the point that like in the playoffs it goes away. I
No,
thought
because that's the
I thought
big
you'd forget
story from
about that.
last year. That was the
Yeah.
big story from last year, so that's why I wanted to hit on that.
Oh, dude, you did a good job. Actually, that was
Thank
really
you.
good. And you hit it on like not. I'm not even joking. On zero, you finished it.
Yeah, you said 5 seconds. I counted that in my head.
That was perfect. Holy. Okay. That was really well done. That was really really well done.
It's a
Good
lot more
job.
complicated, and I definitely didn't hit on all the points.
Nah, nah. He did very good. He did very good. See, Kyle didn't know about the playoff then. There you go.
Learn something every day. Done.
That was impressive. That was very impressive.
Thank you.
That'll be a clip that I'll put on. You know what that could be? That could be a TikTok clip.
Oh my god. Get Rishi. We need a manager for our TikTok account.
Yeah, for real. Okay. All right. Okay. Are you doing good? You need a break or we want to
No,
finish
I'm
off with the
good.
last topic?
Yeah, let's finish it
All
off.
right,
The
cool.
Olympics.
Last part. We want to talk about the Team Canada, or well, we want Theory Craft Team Canada's 2022 Olympic hockey roster. So, full disclosure, like at the time that we're doing this, so far 3 people on the Canadian roster have already been confirmed. We've got Crosby, McDavid, and
Petrangelo.
Petrangelo. Yeah. So those have already been confirmed. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Those would have been on our list regardless. Um,
You don't know that.
Tell me you're not. Who do? What?
I don't have McDavid on my list.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm actually interested to see if you put McDavid or Crosby as your first line. Oh,
Okay.
by
Do
the
you
way,
want to just go over the rosters?
yeah. But first off, I just want to say this. I pussied out. I did not make a list at all.
You dumbass!
Okay,
You
listen.
came up with this segment, you fucking idiot!
Listen, I came into this and I was like, I was looking over it and I was like thinking about potential lines and I'm like, there's so many different options. Like you could realistically have 2 Canadian teams that could fight for gold.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a
Like
lot to work with, especially with their forward core.
exactly, and
Like
like
it's
the top
crazy.
2 lines are probably okay. So in the top 2 line, most likely you'll have a combination of like in one line it'll be like Crosby, McKinnon, and like Marchand, and then the next line could be like McDavid, Marner, and Huberdeau. Now,
Yeah.
you could swap in a lot of stuff. Like for Crosby's line, instead of having McKinnon, you can put him as a center, which he normally plays,
Yep.
and put Bergeron on that side. And with McDavid's side, you could drop Marner. You can put in someone else. Like Stamkos, in my list I originally had, Stamkos wasn't even on that, which
Yeah.
is insane. He's just got off a Stanley Cup win.
Really? I have Stamkos in mind.
I initially didn't even have him on my list. Like Stamkos did not make it at all. And I was looking at this and I'm like, there's no way. This team it's so difficult theory crafting
Interesting.
the roster for this. The defensive core is a lot easier. Even like the goalies is very easy, but the forwards
Yeah.
I could not. It was just
Yeah.
there were so many different factors and then I tried to look into like who's played on lines before, so that's why I got like the Crosby Marchand, and then I know in the off season Crosby and McKinnon they practice in their off season together, and that's a huge reason why McKinnon has started performing and become this
Blossomed, yeah.
superstar. Yeah, it's because of Crosby. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I really want them to be together, but also it would be nice having McKinnon. Just imagine having Crosby, McDavid, and McKinnon as
As your
3
line.
centers.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
There's a lot you can do with this team.
There's a lot. Yeah.
I have mine what I think is
Okay. I'm
not
actually
necessarily what I
interested to
think
hear.
is what will happen, but
Okay.
what I think is best from a team composition
Okay.
perspective.
I'm really excited to hear this. Like, I'm not even
Okay.
joking. Let's hear it.
So
And go
Uh,
in list because I want to know if you start with McDavid as your number
okay.
one line
I'll
or
start.
Crosby,
I'll do. Okay, so my line one, I'll do
or you could
left
just
wing,
do
center,
McKinnon
right
number
wing.
one. Just be
Right. So
yeah.
my left wing, right wing, left wing, center, right wing for line one is Brad Marchand on left wing,
Wait, one
Connor
second.
McDavid center.
Wait, one second. Let me write this out so that it might be a little bit easier for people to see while
Okay.
we're doing this. Okay.
You gonna put it on the screen?
Yeah.
All
Computer
right, I'll wait for that then.
capture. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So who do you have?
Okay, so I've
We're gonna
got
go left to right. Okay.
Marchand,
Yeah.
McDavid,
Really?
McKinnon. Yes.
What? How do you even spell that? I don't even know how to spell. How do you spell that?
McKinnon?
Oh, it's M
Yeah,
A
that's good enough.
C. McKin.
MacKinnon, I believe. I think you
Are
have.
you crazy?
Okay, so this is. Let me explain.
Martian and McKinnon with McDavid? I thought
Yeah,
when you
firstly,
said Marchand,
McDavid is
I thought you were saying Crosby right away.
no. McDavid's the best player
Agreed.
in
Agreed.
hockey,
Agreed.
right?
Yeah.
He's way too dynamic to put on your second line center, and I think Crosby. I'll get to Crosby in a second, but McDavid, McKinnon, and Marchand are just like they're the perfect line. Like you've got everything. You've got two guys who are explosive in terms of skating. One like McKinnon as a skater is powerful,
Hmm.
right? Like he's just pure like fast A to B, right? He doesn't have that agility that McDavid has, but he's crazy good as like this power forward type of player. Marchand is a shit disturber, right? And he's a guy who's really good on the forecheck. And then McDavid is just he's McDavid. He's the best player ever. He could do everything. You've got the shooter, you've got the grinder, you've got the playmaker. It's just like a really nice line, and they're all fantastic players.
See, I agree. This line is good, but I thought you would go. Well, I personally prioritize like past synergy because like the Marchand, Crosby, and Bergeron have always been a great line for Team Canada. So I
I
thought
agree.
you would keep
I
that.
think age is a factor here that we
Okay.
need to, really like.
Fair.
McDavid is now in his prime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crosby is past that, and so he's still like fucking really good. But McDavid's a better player,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
give him the better players to work with,
Okay.
like McKinnon, who's still insane, and Marchand. I mean, he's not in his prime anymore, but he's not reached that decline yet. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
not at that age yet. My second line, which will be surprising to you because you didn't even have him on, is Stamkos
Wait. I'm
with
putting it on. Stamkos.
Crosby and with Marner. Now, the
Okay.
reason I have this is Stamkos is arguably the best scorer on the entirety of the Canada roster in terms of being a shooter,
Mhm.
like in terms of just having that explosive shot,
He's
right?
essentially the Ovechkin that of Team Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
he sets up in his office and he has the best shot on that team.
Yeah.
He scored 60 goals. He's the last person to ever do that. It was obviously a long time ago, but he's capable of that.
Uh-huh.
Giving him Crosby and Marner gives him probably the two best passers in the league. Not in the league, but sorry, but two of the best passers in the league.
Uh-huh.
Crosby is obviously good at everything. He's a fantastic center.
Yeah.
He's can score goals himself. I think it's just again a line that works from a forechecking, from a sniper, from a playmaking, from a grinding, from a defensive standpoint. I think Crosby and Marner are both fantastic defensively. So yeah, it's got everything as well.
I'm so surprised with this. I thought you would put McDavid and Marner together because
I don't
they
think they work
played.
together.
I mean they played in the
Compared,
juniors together.
yeah, they played in the juniors together, but McDavid with McKinnon, like from a perspective of synergy, works a lot better because McDavid and Marner are both extremely agile skaters,
Yeah.
and they go east to west a lot, but they don't have that north south speed or north south like playmaking ability that McKinnon does, where he can just plow through people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And both McDavid and Marner play on the perimeter a lot, and they're really good at finding the person in that scoring position to get the easy tap in.
Uh-huh.
But neither of them are going to be really in the net front. They're super good on the perimeter,
Hmm.
right? Whereas Marchand is going to be on the net front. McKinnon is, can play pretty much everywhere, but he's got a good shot. Like you know what I mean? Like Marner is a playmaker. He's
No,
a
yeah.
playmaker's
Of course, like
playmaker.
your stuff makes
Giving him
sense for
someone like
sure.
Stamkos is crazy good.
Yeah.
because it's essentially it's pretty much Matthews Marner. Like Stamkos is what Matthews is, just with a slap shot instead of a wrist shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I mean, with Team Canada, you can't go wrong. Um, what I personally was going off of was just past synergy, but this totally makes sense, especially seeing like McDavid and McKinnon are going to be the stars for the future, anyways. So getting that synergy built up now, that's going to carry
And
on for the
I
next
think
few
that
Olympics is going to be huge too.
I don't think they're young enough, like too young to perform under these circumstances. Like they're not like 19 or 20 anymore. Like these
Oh
guys are
no,
like
they've been
24, 25.
yeah,
They're in their prime. Like
yeah,
they are built to play these games now.
yeah.
So to
You know
me
what's
that
scary though? McDavid
but
technically, I still think he has room to grow.
oh yeah, he definitely does. I mean the
That's
guy's like on a
nuts, isn't
180
it?
point pace. So he's like crazy he's doing crazy shit.
He's
So
he's insane.
yeah, that's why he's
Oilers,
your first
so
line center.
lucky,
Easy.
so lucky. Okay, anyways, next line.
Next, I have a what I would describe as a shutdown line. It will be up against the opposition's best lines,
If you don't say
and
Huberto, I'm gonna be so mad.
it is Huberdeau,
Okay, all right.
Huberdeau, Bergeron, and Stone.
Huberto, Bergeron, and Stone. Do you
Yeah,
think he's gonna be healthy when it comes to the Olympics?
yeah, I think he's back by then.
Okay, okay. I
He
agree.
should be
This
back
line is huge.
by January. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just a crazy line,
this
like
line
in
is
terms of
actually a lot
having
of fun.
the defensive ability of that line is ridiculous,
Yeah.
and also their stars. Like I know a lot of people had like Couturier on their list,
Hmm.
and in my opinion, Bergeron fills that role, but is like better offensively. So to me, that's just a great bottom six line. They have the offensive ability that stars have, while being really good two way players. Like they could all win the Selkie, in my opinion. Like they're
Yeah.
crazy good.
Yeah.
My fourth line is Braden Point
Okay.
with Ryan O'Reilly and John Tavares. So this is the hardest line to do
Oh, you
because
put JT on it.
O'Reilly and Tavares, I think, are not exactly shoe-ins to make the roster.
Yeah, I didn't have Tavares on my list at all.
Uh, yeah, I think Tavares or like again, this is a good bottom six, uh, like bottom six construction. Because in my opinion, like you can't have everyone be this offensive. Like you need people to take these defensive assignments and defensive draws and stuff like that. So you need these like your bottom six should be obviously stars. Like we're not gonna put like you know some random Erickson Eck or something like that in there who's a really good defensive player but doesn't have that offensive ability.
Yeah.
All these guys are really good offensively, but they're known for their two-way play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like Braden and again, you got a line of all centers.
Yeah.
Braden Point, O'Reilly, and Tavares. If O'Reilly gets kicked off the draw, you got like a 54% faceoff guy
Yeah.
in Tavares, and then Braden Point, who's also really good and is also a center. Like it's just the perfect defensive line again that has that offensive ability. You have the exact construction that a team requires, which is having a bottom six that can take on defensive roles and still score, and then having that top six that is purely
Offense.
offensively just gifted,
Yeah.
like completely like if McDavid takes every offensive zone draw, you're golden. Like he will just run up the score, and then you have Bergeron, Stone, and Huberdeau taking the defensive draws and being like PK. You know,
Hmm.
like this is just a roster that has guys who power play, who has guys who PK, who has guys that are two way, purely offensive. It's just everything.
Yeah. 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 And there's so many good players that are left off of this team. Like there could easily be another Team Canada that could go in
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Like it's
100%.
crazy. All right, let's see with your defense.
Defense is a lot harder.
I want to see if you have Riley in this.
Of course I do, for the record,
Okay,
because
yeah.
I'm believe so. I have Shea Theodore, and
Okay.
Alex Petrangelo as my first pairing.
Theodore and then Petrangelo. Let's see if I did that right. I 100% misspelled that, but okay.
Yeah, that's correct. That, in my opinion, is your best pairing, just because they've got the age and experience and
Yeah.
are both really,
Physical.
really good on both sides of the ice. Like both of them are really good on the offensive side, and they can both
They can
PK,
shut down
Rigaud,
everything.
really
Yeah.
good at shutting down a cycle. It's
Yeah.
just really, really solid.
Mhm.
Next, I have Aaron Ekblad with Kale McCarr. Uh,
Oh, okay. And
so
who
I
else?
put Ekblad with McCarr because,
How do you spell
well,
that?
McCarr is arguably the best
How do you spell
defenseman
that?
on this team. Makar.
Makar. Okay.
Yeah,
I
he's
have no
arguably the
idea who
best
that is.
defenseman. Kale McCarr?
Yeah, I have no idea.
What?
I have no
He's
idea.
young. He's like 20 years old. He's on the Avalanche. He was
Okay.
second in Norris voting last year.
Okay.
Um, he's ridiculous. He got like 90 points as a defenseman. Like
Uh-huh.
or he was on a 90-point pace, I guess, because it was a shortened season. But he's ridiculous good. Really good in transition. Crazy good at skating up the ice. Really good offensively. His defensive numbers are also really good, but giving him a guy like Ekblad, who is experienced and bigger, like Makar's a pretty small dude compared.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just good. Ekblad has clearly shown, on Florida that he's got the ability to play with someone like Makar because they got guys like Uyghur and those younger guys who are really good in transition,
Yeah.
and he's just a good rock for that line. My third pair is Riley with Dougie Hamilton.
Okay, okay.
I put Riley in. He's a Leaf. That's the main reason.
Yeah.
But he's not like a
He's
bad
not
pick for
bad
there.
either. He's not
I think
defensively minded, but he has good offense
yeah, but I think
anyways.
Hamilton makes up for that because I think Hamilton's really good as a two-way guy, and then
Mhm.
on top of that, you got enough guys on this defensive core that PK, and you got enough that power play,
Yeah.
and if you run your PK with Theodore Pietrangelo, Ekblad, Hamilton, that's a good penalty kill,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then Makar and Riley on the power play is pretty damn fucking good,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, yeah, it's just a good roster. I think Chabot could go in place with Riley. I think they're interchangeable.
Uh-huh.
I think Doughty might get a look in, but I don't like
Really?
him. I think he will just because he's
He's
been on every
way
Canada
too old
roster.
though.
He's
I
been
think
on every
you
Canada
look for the
roster,
younger
and
guys.
I agree. I don't want him in. I think he might get a look.
Well, okay, so I think the
I think
biggest
he might get a look over Hamilton because you have the.
no, but okay, listen.
It's
So
a, it's
I think
a, it's
the
a matter
biggest
of like
his biggest
yeah. Go
fan
ahead.
his biggest fan by far was Babcock. And since Babcock obviously for obvious reasons is not going to be the coach of Team Canada for the first time in forever, I think that's
Imagine,
a major
imagine if they do that.
it just goes from Saskatchewan all the way to Team Canada coach. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think he's good. I think he would have maybe had a shot if Babcock like for God knows why comes back and coaches this team
Yeah, yeah.
for nostalgia
I don't
reasons.
think he'll make it, but I wouldn't be surprised, is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, fair.
He's done so good on the national stage,
Yeah.
and he's been not good recently,
Uh-huh.
but he started off the year really well this year. So he's injured right now, so I don't even know if he'll be back. But it wouldn't be something that really surprises me if they were just like he's been good before, and he's not that old. He's only 33 or whatever, so maybe,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't put him over any of the guys that we have. He's
Yeah.
31, so he's not even older than that. Like, he's still capable, but Hamilton, Makar, and Pietrangelo are all better than him,
There's
so
better
I don't see
options.
him. Yeah,
Exactly. There's one thing that the Mighty Kiwi, I don't know who that is, but I see your comment. Just give us 1 second. Let me finish off getting Armand's goalies, and then we can address what you were saying. Okay? All right,
I
Armand.
disagree with that
Yeah,
statement.
I know, but still, let's get the goalies.
I'm a Leaf fan.
Get the goalie.
Goalies, I thought this was really hard to do, and this is where Canada is by far
The weakest.
weaker
Yeah.
than the U.S. and
Yeah.
Russia specifically.
Yeah.
And it will be a very interesting thing coming the Olympics is how they actually do. Because my goalies are Carey Price.
Yep. Also coming back, or is he back from injury yet, or is he still injured?
He wasn't even injured. It was a mental health thing. But
Oh, was it that? Okay.
he's now preparing to play again. He's got to
Okay.
go through the conditioning stint.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a mental health thing, and he was in he was in a program for that. So
Okay.
for a month, but he should be ready for the playoff. I mean,
Okay.
for the Olympics. I have Marc-Andre Fleury, who is off to one of the worst starts of any goalie in the NHL right now, but it's Marc-Andre Fleury. And
You gotta believe in the flower.
yeah, and then because I have two old guys, I was like, there are three options here in my opinion. There's Darcy Kemper,
Hmm.
who's also off to a bad start,
Okay.
Jordan Binnington, and
Yeah.
Carter Hart.
Okay.
Those are the guys that I think are probably in the running.
So we get one
Now,
substitute though.
yeah, so Kemper, I didn't put in just because we already have two veterans, and we already have two question marks in terms of how they'll be because
Hmm.
Price, he's really good. He was really good in the playoffs last year, but he hasn't had a good regular season in some time.
Yeah.
And Fleury just got a Vezina winning season and has
Is
started
not
this year
performing
being
well.
horrible, right?
Yeah.
So there's question marks because they're older and stuff. So I decided to go for Carter Hart.
Okay.
Um, and I went with Hart over Binnington just because I think Hart is a better
Is
goalie,
that how
and
you
I
spell it?
don't like Binnington. Hart.
Okay. Cool.
Um, and yeah, and I think that every Olympic team will kind of have a goalie that's on the younger side just to develop them.
Yeah.
They'll get two veterans and then one young guy. Like I think Russia is going to get Shesterkin on their team, and I think the U.S. is going to go with the guy like Demko, Thatcher Demko, to kind of supplement the veteran goalies on their roster as well. So that's the way I see it. That's my Olympics team right there.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
I project them winning gold because
I
hell yeah,
mean,
go Canada.
it's Team Canada. Listen, if they don't get gold, then we riot.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, yeah, the team looks honestly great. Defensively, I feel like you were saying, yeah, Riley, maybe you can swap him out. The forwards are really interested. I'm really interested to see what they actually end up doing as well, because this could go either way. They can
I
mix
also think
around the
you can like
rounds.
yeah,
They,
you can switch out Stamkos with Point, and I wouldn't be surprised at all.
yeah, and the
Like
other thing
Stamkos
is
could easily be a fourth liner on this team, or even not be on it.
exactly. But also another big thing is like even once you go down there, there's time to play around with your lineups. Like you have you can practice first of all with the team, and you can figure out what works and what doesn't. Then you have games on hand as well. That the Canadian team, even if there's missing synergy, they should still be projected to win regardless. So you have time to play around with different combinations, different lineups, and see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I have faith that the team eventually, maybe they might look a little bit iffy here and there in the beginning, but they'll figure it out. I have no doubt with that.
Yeah, they're a crazy good team. Like anything less than gold is probably going to be a disappointment for everyone on the roster and that watches.
Yeah.
So high expectations for these guys. A lot of them do have question marks in terms of how they perform under pressure, though. Specifically guys like Marner and even
Oh
McDavid.
yeah.
Like who haven't had the playoff success, and even McKinnon. Never gotten past the second round. There's a lot of guys on this team that have a lot to prove in terms of being good in the clutch, and this is a huge opportunity for these guys to actually showcase their ability to do that. Because if Marner doesn't do well and we get bronze, there's gonna be a lot of
There's a
talking
lot of
shit. So
problems. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
But they also
this
have
is
like great leadership as well, to build off of
yeah,
that too. So they're in a good position where they're in a position to succeed basically.
yeah, for sure. It's on, and from a Leaf perspective, it's also like it's a chance for these guys to rid themselves of the doubt they have
Yeah,
of like being good in those big moments.
yeah.
Because you're on Team Canada, like you know what I mean. Like you should be good, and if you don't perform there, then it's gonna fuck them up mentally for a long time. But if they do get over that kind of hump mentally, it might actually be good for us in the playoffs if they come away with a gold and we're in the first round and they can put away a game and they actually play well because they're not you know shrouded with doubt because they play on the Leafs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really excited for that. We're a ways away, sorry, for that anyways. Shut up. But yeah, we got some time. We'll keep you guys updated each week to see who else gets called up. Like we mentioned, three of them are already lock-ins, for the spot. They've already been confirmed.
Yeah,
So as we get more people, we'll figure it out and we'll see what goes on from there. Um, But yeah, I guess that was all I kind of wanted to go over on Team Canada. Was there any last things that you wanted to add before we go into the Q&A and then finally address the mighty Kiwi? He's been waiting
No, I'm
patiently
good.
for
I'm
this.
good. Yeah, we
Okay.
can go to the queue.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me open up Twitch chats. Go full cam. Um, actually, let's do. How do I want to do this? We'll do this. Okay, that's fine. And then we'll move this out of the way. Put this there. Open that up. Move this to the side. And yeah, okay. Okay. I think we're all good now. The mighty Kiwi. Also, if you are interested, after this, going forward, this is the Q&A segment of the whole show. Um, we were thinking of having people call in. So like we'll have like a Discord server where we pull you on and then we'll talk about it. Um, but yeah, for now we'll just address it. So if you guys have any questions that you can think of or that you want to know, even if it's like not hockey related, just questions about us, feel free to message in the Twitch chat and then we'll address it. The Mighty Kiwi, I hope you're still here. If you are, press one or type one or something just so we know that you're here, and then we're hopefully addressing your concerns. But yeah, Armaan, you wanna try to talk about this first, or do you want me to go?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it first? You can talk.
Yeah, okay, sure. So Marner needing to go and being overpaid. Do I agree that he's overpaid? Yes, by far. He is severely overpaid. But
Yeah. Wait. Okay. Hold on. Time out. How much is he overpaid?
huh?
How much do you think he's overpaid?
I think how much is he pay, he's again? Let's pull that up right
He's
now.
getting 10.9 something.
Let's
So
look up.
let's say 11.
Okay, but let's get our salary cap so we can see our our Leafs cap
Why are you
friendly.
on incognito?
Huh?
Why are you on incognito?
I don't know. It's the first thing that was open. Shut up. Okay, so we got our whole lineup over here. Let me open this up a little wider. Put the Twitch out of it there. Whatever. We'll do that. Okay. Okay, cool. So he's making 10.9. I feel like making a 1 mil, like making a 9 mil, I feel like would be all right.
Yeah, I would
But
say the maximum I would pay for him is 9.5.
yeah, but
Okay?
one big thing though that I wanted to say is like, um, a huge part of this that we're seeing in hindsight is because or that we're seeing this as a huge overpayment, which regardless it would be, but is because of the whole situation with COVID and the TV deal not going through. A
Yeah,
lot of
like
these decisions that were made by Dubas to sell out on these contracts or shell out on given money for these contracts was under the pretense that the salary
the
cap
cap would
was gonna go
increase.
up, yeah, significantly. So I guess like I can give a quick brief on this, but before COVID struck, the salary cap, we were getting a new TV deal. The salary cap was supposed to go up drastically each year. Um, so that's would I guess like make up a little bit of the contracts that we were given out. Now, since the salary cap did not go up, a lot of these contracts are a lot more than it should be. Whereas if the salary cap went up by let's say like 3 million or something, it's a little bit more wiggle room. There's a little bit more room that we can work with. So keeping that in mind, I still think it is slightly an overpayment, even if we think of what of the salary cap not going up. But in this moment, because obviously hindsight is hindsight, we can't do anything about that. He is getting overpaid. Now, do I think that he needs to go? I don't think so. I think he's still a great player. Like if we look at his stats from last year, Mitch Marner, hockey DB. He had a phenomenal regular season. He had in a 55 game season, he had 67 points. He was playing phenomenally. He was playing great. A huge issue with him, and it's a huge issue with the rest of the Leafs as well. It's just mental. They 100% should have gone through the Habs, um, but they just didn't. They just mentally broke, and I feel like this is just something that eventually the team will figure out. Now, I'm not sure if if they'll figure it out and they'll still be able to win a cup. I hope they do, but you got to think like eventually the team will be able to get over this mental hurdle. It's only a matter of time, and that's again like going through our previous segment with Team Canada. Hopefully that is also a learning experience that could impact our players positively as well. Um, but I don't think he needs to go per se. I think who do you get back for him?
Yeah,
Because
that's my thing.
yeah,
Because
you need to get
you're
back a
right in that he's
superstar.
overpaid, but yeah, you're gonna be selling low on him
Yeah,
because he just came off of horrible playoffs and he hasn't even started off the year too well. So,
and just one
you
quick
know,
thing.
I think you become worse if you
Okay.
trade him this year at least. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah. So like what pieces do you get what pieces do you get from him, right? Cuz when you're trading a superstar, you have to get another superstar. For a team that's contending, you can't get smaller pieces that may look good as a bundle. You need a superstar for a superstar. Now the only person we talked about this previously as well. The only person that this offseason could have been an option was Eichel.
Yeah, and Buffalo wouldn't do that because it's essentially moving the deck chairs. You know, they have to commit to a rebuild. You know,
Hmm.
getting just Marner and no futures would be pretty stupid for them. So
Yeah.
there's no like tangible option where you're like Marner is an elite talent. Like, you know, whether he's getting paid 11 or 9.5 doesn't affect his performance. He's an elite talent. You know, he's up there with the best of them. And he is overpaid by 2 million, but every, you know, cup teams have had worse overpayments before. I don't think that's a debilitating amount to overpay, especially given the fact that hopefully the cap goes up and we're out of Kessel's retained salary now and, you know, all of this stuff. So there's, I don't know. I just think selling now would be a mistake because you become a worse team because of it.
Yeah, agreed. There's nothing that
Like, I
can
do
grab
think you
from
kind
him
of
right
have
now.
to ride out. Now, if they lose again this year,
That's
that
interesting.
conversation might just be like, sure, we become a worse team, but at least there's some sort of change,
Uh-huh.
right? So, because there's only so many times you can be like, all right, let's run it back.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've reached that. I think it is a mental hurdle, and I think that eventually, hopefully, they get over it, especially this year. So, because otherwise, yeah, Dubas might be fired if we get out in the first round, and so will Keefe and Marner, or you know, one of the big four will probably be gone. So there's a lot riding on this year, and I think this is going to be the last chance that Marner has to prove his worth, and hopefully he does,
What would
because
you
otherwise
view?
we're pretty fucked.
Exactly, yeah. What would you view as a success for this team? That where you'd be okay with Marner coming back or like continuing on with
Okay
this
with
team.
Marner coming back, third round, conference
Third
final
round.
at least. Yeah,
Really? So
that,
anything
that
before that you'd want to trade him.
yeah. If we win in the first round and then get smoked in the second round or something like that,
Uh-huh.
it depends how the rounds go, of course, but
And also how he
uh,
plays as well, right?
and also how he plays. Yeah, like
Yeah.
this is what I was saying. Like the conversation around Nylander was also pretty similar in terms of like his playoff output because he struggled for a while as well. That changes with one playoff series.
Hmm.
You know,
Last year's phenomenal.
Nylander plays with a shitload of confidence now, which he didn't before. He was always really good, and I was never like I've always been a huge fan of Nylander,
Hmm.
but he plays with so much more confidence in terms of shooting the puck and just taking the puck towards the net and making those plays that he doesn't have that mental block anymore that really fucked him up the year after his contract rolled out. Like he only got like 27 points that year.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like that was a horrible year because of a lot of reasons, and part of that is the mental pressure of having to live up to your contract.
Hmm.
But once he finally stopped, started playing with confidence, no one's worried about that. That's one of the best contracts we have on the team. And
Yeah.
Marner could do the same if he performs at the level he does in the regular season in the playoffs. Because dude's like a 95-point guy in the regular season. He just needs to do the same thing in the playoffs, and he needs to be as dynamic. You know, like, and I refuse to believe it's not a mental issue because in Game 6 against Montreal when he got that delay of game penalty where he had all the time in the world and he
Hmm.
just turned around and slap shotted the puck out of the out of the off of the glass.
Yeah.
That's a mental mistake. That's not
It was
because
him feeling
you
the
don't
stress,
have any
basically.
ability. That's him feeling the pressure of needing to make the correct play all the time and him not actually using his intuition, which he usually does, which is, having the presence of mind to be patient with the puck. He just yeeted that shit out out of the arena, and then you see him in the penalty box, and he's clearly feeling the pressure. So
Yeah.
he just needs to, get those demons out, and he'll be fine. And this team will be fine if their stars are performing, and their stars are going to perform when they play with the confidence they should have.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Hopefully the team pulls it together. Obviously, we're all Leafs fans. Well, both of us are, as much as we hate this team. So we're we're rooting for them. We're pulling for them. Hopefully they can figure it out. Um, I just think it would be a mistake, even if he doesn't perform. It's so hard getting rid of a player like that. I'm almost more tempted. Like, obviously, it's gonna be tough, and like you're probably gonna have to take on some stuff. But like getting rid of John Tavares is a lot better, but a lot tougher, just because of how much more term he has left on his contract. Because we already see that he is taking a little bit step back in terms of his offensive performance. Um, but yeah, like it's tough. You see the potential in this team, and you can't help but believe that the next year will be the year. Like they have
Yeah,
to figure it out, and especially growing up, like you see Marner, he grew up as a Leafs fan. We saw him grow up within our organization as well. Um, he's a Leafs through and through. He's a Leafs player. He's
yeah,
a Leafs fan through and through. It's tough to let go of
and
someone like that, but
yeah, and you can really tell when he's like feeling down on himself.
hmm oh yeah,
Because
he wears his heart on
he
his
was
sleeve.
so happy go lucky in the first few years on the
Yeah,
team. Like he was dancing out there, and now it's a little more dour. So I like hopefully if he can go back to that and just play his game, like we'll be fine. It's just a matter of doing that, because if he doesn't, we're in tough, and
you have to make business
like
decisions at that
yeah,
point. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Like Dubas has to, he can't go down at the ship. Like, you know what I mean? Like for
the
his
team
own
comes
career.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting seeing what happens in the playoffs this year. Hopefully we make the playoffs firstly, and then anything less than a third rounder, and I will be a bit upset. So
That's high.
conference
I would
finals.
have
I
said
know it.
like,
I know it's high, but it should be high. Like
yeah,
you're on your sixth year now
I agree.
for this
I
core.
agree. Yeah.
You can't be settling for, like, I understand that a lot of people would be happy with a round win, but
hmm
if you're a team that's, you know, has as much talent and has are spending to the cap to the way we are, you have to have those high expectations, because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
There's a reason it's called all or nothing, you know?
Going off on that,
Getting
actually.
getting getting
Yeah.
in the
Go ahead.
second round doesn't mean shit to me, so
Yeah. 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 No, I see your
make
point.
it far.
Yeah. Honestly, at this point, one round, please, please get a
I know,
single
like
round.
if you lose in the first round, there will be an absolute, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
riots in the streets probably.
I
It,
actually.
it's been super disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Just imagine the scenes if we win, though. Holy crap.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still
That'd be
holding you
insane.
to that bet, eh? If we make it to the finals, and if there's one game,
Yeah,
we're going to
spend a
attend it.
grand on a
Yeah, yeah,
fucking.
yeah. No, I'm holding you to it. I'm not even joking.
I think I would,
Yeah,
honestly.
we made
I
that
think I
bet how
would.
many years ago?
It wasn't a bet, it was an agreement.
Or agreement? Yeah, we made that.
That
That
was
was
a long time
probably,
ago. It was
yeah,
probably
at
3 or 4
least,
years ago, 5 years.
no, at least 4 or 5, at least.
Yeah, probably.
That was probably, I think, you know when that was? That was the summer before you guys started university, when we went to Wonderland together.
Yeah?
That's when it was. Yeah, because that's when we made the bet for the Leafs winning as well.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we gotta do that anyways. But actually, one thing I want to talk about, that All or Nothing series. I still haven't watched it yet,
Oh, have you not? It's
dude.
actually it's
I
an
can't,
interesting
man.
look.
When I see
It
that
is
title,
sad,
it
man.
makes
That
me so
last
mad.
the last like 15 minutes of that series is fucking brutal to watch. It's really really hard to watch, because that's where they go over the 3-1
Yeah.
where we completely choke away
No, but
the
just
easiest
imagine.
victory of our lives, but
I
yeah,
hate the
it was
title.
tough.
I hate the title. All or
The
Nothing
title is
that they released after we lost. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
but dude, That's what the
I
title of the
don't
series
care that
is.
it's
It's
a
for
series.
every
I
single.
don't care. It's so
It's for every
annoying.
single season. It's
Lis-
just the Amazon Prime thing.
As soon as I got over it, I get stabbed in the back with that. Hey, we still love Amazon. Okay, we're still streaming on their platform.
Hell yeah.
But because it's a Amazon series, and like since we're streaming on Twitch, we could do a watch party for that, eh?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
If you want to do that,
Yeah,
like
I'm
we can
down.
stream it, we can watch party it, and like everyone can see it as we're like watching it. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. I think that would. Would you want to do that while I'm here though, or when I go back home, then we can watch it together? So there's no delay.
Uh, yeah, probably together. No
Okay.
delay would probably help.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that would be kind of cool. As soon as you were mentioning that series, I was like, you know what? That would actually be kind of cool. So like, cause like
Yeah,
I haven't watched it at all, right? I don't know what I mean. I went through the pain of the season, so I have
yeah, it's
that.
pretty sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I guess that was the major things we wanted to talk about. If there's any other questions in chat, feel free to message us. I mean, I think we can start winding it down.
Yeah, that was longer than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, dude, I actually really like that.
Yeah,
That went a
that's good.
lot better. Oh, look at that Armaan picture. Perfect. That went really nice. I thought like I feel like we'll get input from people who watched it, but I think we synergized pretty well on that one. I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously we'll get better over time. This is only the first episode, right? So we'll get more segment ideas.
And we don't even have a title.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other thing. I completely forgot that. If you guys are still here and like if people have any ideas, like please give us a title. We need to make this YouTube channel ASAP. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
was
fun.
fun.
This is a long time coming. I'm really looking forward to the next episode. And like hopefully once we do it in person, I feel like the show's gonna like be so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. It
Yeah.
was a good time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's basically it. Thanks for the people who actually came. Like Abby, Kyle, the mighty Kiwi. Thanks for messaging and like interacting with us, being here. This was a lot of fun. We've been like I said, we've been talking about this for a long time, and it's nice to actually finally do this and get this out there. Um, we'll see you guys next week, 6:30 again at on Sunday. Every Sunday, 6:30 on this channel, twitch.tv/Revexer, and we will be posting on YouTube. Hearts in chat. Thank you, Abby. You're the best. Um, and we'll be posting on YouTube. We'll get more information out there once we actually create that and then start posting. Yeah, it was a fun time. Thanks, Armaan. This is actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.